Hey, what's up, guys? It's Jordan with the Laundromat Resource Podcast. This is show 166, and I'm pumped you're here today, as always. And today we've got Ricky Salazar on the show. It's going to be a really great show. He kind of talks about how he took a side door into this industry and how he created a pickup and delivery service in Las Vegas from basically nothing, and now it's booming. So he's going to talk all about that, give a lot of really great tips. You're going to love this interview for sure. And real quick before we get into it, today's fast lane tip is the same as the last couple, which is this week, August 14th. We're launching our next round of mastermind groups. If that's something you're interested in, comes with the pro community. So go check out laundromatresource.com/pro. You get all the perks of the pro community, plus a mastermind group, which is a small group of people to help you get farther faster by meeting together regularly, getting some accountability on actions you need to be taking to accomplish your goals, encouraging each other, so much more, problem solving together. It's an accelerator towards success in my experience and in my opinion. So go check it out, laundromatresource.com/pro. If you do it before August 14th, 2024, you can join this round. If not, we'll have a round coming up in another 4 to 6 weeks or so where we'll launch some more groups. But that is coming up. So go check that out and let's jump into it with Ricky in Las Vegas. Oh, Ricky, thank you for coming on the show, man. I'm super pumped to have you here. How you doing?
Good. Thank you for asking. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. I'm excited.
Yeah, no, me too. And I've been looking forward to this one. Actually, we've chatted a little bit, and I know a little bit about what you got going on, and I think people are going to be excited about what you got going on. So can't wait to hear about that. But let's start with, well, first of all, I was a little worried you weren't going to be here because I thought maybe you might be melted in a puddle on the sidewalk somewhere, because you're out in Vegas right now, right?
Yes, and it's very hot. Hot is an understatement.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're smack dab in the middle of summer here, and whenever it's hot here, it is like cooking eggs on the sidewalk over there. And so I'm glad you're still, solid over
Thank
there.
you.
Yeah. So why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are, and then let's get into how you got into this business.
Yeah, my name is Ricky Salazar. I was born in Anaheim, California, raised out in Ontario, California, went back to Anaheim. My work background, I was in the Carpenters Union for a while. Then I went and got my BBA at the Inland Empire Center for Entrepreneurship. And I've always had a passion for laundromats. We used them growing up. So I was donating plasma in Anaheim. At that time, forget what exact year it was, 2019, 2020. Boulder Express was being developed and built off of Euclid and Catella, and spoke with a contractor. And to do part of my market research, I applied for a job, ended up telling the director of operations the truth in the interview, like, hey, I don't really want this job. I was just trying to gather information. I have a $250,000 loan and I want to buy an old laundromat up the street. He rebutted that and said it would be a good idea to hire me. And I was like, I'll think about it. And
that is a bold move, man, to go in the interview and be like, actually, not only do I not want a job, but I want to buy one down the road here. That's a bold move. And somehow that worked for you.
That was a rookie move. But, the director of operations there, he's a really great guy. And he just rebutted that. No, I think you'd be a good full-time employee, and I don't have full-time. And I kind of just looked at him, walked off, came by once it opened, looked at it. And one day he's like, call me. Come in. He's like, I have a management job in Vegas for you. I was like, nah, he's like, well, in the interview, this guy was special because he remembered that I had a son out here in Las Vegas. So I was like, he's pretty good at saying.
He knew.
And I thought about it. I still turned it down, and I started out as an assistant manager there. And then after a couple of weeks, when I seen the photos of how big this location was going to be, I was like, no, I want to do something risky. I want a store all to myself that's huge, and to just jump off the cliff and be like, I want that store to manage.
Yeah. Okay. Well, hold on. I don't want to go to Vegas yet because we're still Where was the Boulder Creek location?
Boulder Express.
The
It's
Boulder Express. Sorry.
off of Euclid and Catella,
Oh,
and
okay.
next to there's a plasma center there. I think it's called Pharma. Now there's a UEI there, and then there's a Hugo's Acapulco.
Okay. All
next
right.
to it.
I mean, you're down the street from Disneyland. There, you're not too far.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. It's a hot location, and they got the ozone sanitized wash system there. So
yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so I mean, this guy, he sounded like he met you and was like, this is my guy. Like, I got to get him on board.
Yeah, he said that to me repeatedly. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think it was? Probably your good looks.
At that point in time, everybody that I went around, they're like, "You have this glow to you. You're gonna do something." And I was only working at Dollar Tree that time, but I was working the front to the back, helping the freight manager, store manager. I don't know what it was. I just got off my butt at that point in my life. This was 4 or 5 years ago, and I haven't stopped. I haven't had a day off since, and I feel good. I felt like I've had a vacation recently.
Nice. Well, I mean, you do have sort of that like aura about you. I mean, we talked, earlier before all this, right? And I was like, dude, this is gonna be a money interview because not only are you doing cool stuff, but you just seem like a really good guy. So, okay, so you weren't really looking for a job. You were looking.
No, not really.
Maybe
at that point, I was between a side hustle and Dollar Tree. I was already making $70,000 a year.
Yeah.
And that's right before the pandemic. So
okay, I was gonna say. So, what made you take that assistant manager job there?
I've always pushed away management jobs and assisted managers through the back end to fulfill their role so they can have time off. And I never really wanted that title. Mm-hmm. But as I matured as a human being and as a man, when I started to look in the mirror, I said, at some point, great leaders face things they don't want to do. Let's just be realistic. Yep. No, Elon Musk or Trump or whoever we would like to consider as successful has ever just did the minimum or what they want to do. I didn't want the management position. Mm-hmm. Let's just face it. I didn't want the responsibility that came with that title. And I just faced it. I said, you know what, let me just face this and do this instead of backing down. And it was good for me. I've made a lot of mistakes. I've treated people wrong in certain scenarios. And then those same employees also taught me how to be a better manager and a better person and a better father and just a better leader, better business owner. Yeah. So that's what made me just those fears of saying, what if,
Yeah. Well, and that's what happens, right? Like when you confront yourself and say, hey, look, like I can't just coast through life forever. I'm never going to reach my potential. Right. And
absolutely,
you step out and like you said, you do the things that you don't necessarily want to do. That's where that growth happens, right? That's how you become a better manager. That's how you become a better employee. That's how you become a better boss. That's how you become a better owner. That's how you become a better father, is doing those things. And you're learning, you're growing and getting that experience that it ends up translating throughout, all your life. Right. And I think there's a lot of people sitting on the fence who are scared, which understandably so, like it's scary. To take whatever that next step is. But, sometimes you just got to buckle down and do the thing you don't want to do or confront.
You have to, and it'll make you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And I'll just be a witness. Like, for myself, I stepped out in fear. And when I bought my first laundromat,
right.
And I grew like a ton and things did not go well for me initially there. But without going through all that stuff, like I'm not the person that I am today. And would I want to go through it all again? No. But, part of me is glad that I did because it shaped me a lot.
Yeah.
So I love that. Okay. So you ended up taking this assistant management position there. But initially you said, you had a loan for $250, you were looking to buy one. What happened?
Right.
What happened there? How come you didn't end up doing that?
When I sat down and I really thought about everything that goes into a laundry, I would have bought a job. Mm-hmm. The way Boulder Express was doing things, the owner is Rick Hutton, and he's with Red Mountain Retail Group. They actually owned that shopping center at one point, and they sold it after they branched off and started. They own 200 shopping centers. Mm-hmm. So when I did my research to find out who those guys were, the retail management group, I was like astonished. I was like, oh no, like I can either go jump off the cliff with $250,000 and be stuck in a laundromat, or take a huge loss. Because let's go back to me making $70K a year prior to signing with them, with Boulder Express. When I say them, I'm talking about Boulder Express. I took a pay cut. I actually quit doing the Dollar Tree and my other side hustle to make $16 an hour as an assistant manager. Mm-hmm. There in Orange County. That was in Orange County with cost of living. Mm-hmm. So that's why I decided to go take a loss to learn more. I wanted to learn what these guys are doing. Like, what more do they own and what are they doing? He owns a car wash. And then I looked up who Mike Mughal is, the CEO and founder of Red Mountain Retail Group, or Red Mountain Group. And I'm like, man, these guys are commercial real estate guys. So then I saw this whole different world from a whole nother dimension. It was like, okay, if I want to be like anybody, it's these guys, because that phrase, and it's kind of, people joke about it. You're thinking too small. You got to be thinking big. And that's when I said, okay, I really got to change the way I'm looking at this job that I'm going to purchase. And mind you, right now I purchased another job, but I wanted to see laundry differently. And if it wasn't for joining that team, I'm telling you, my wash and fold wouldn't look the way it does. My brandability wouldn't. So I'm very grateful for that opportunity. There was a little bit of differences upon my departure, because I gave a lot of love and nurture to this store, the Boulder Express store here in Las Vegas. So there was kind of a little bit of pushback when I left. But no, if it wasn't for me signing with these guys, my quality would be different. The way I talk about laundry would be different. I saw these guys are this was pre-pandemic. Nobody can say that this guy, Rick Hutton, was putting ozone in there because he knew the pandemic. It was pre-pandemic. He wanted to stand out, and was putting sanitized wash systems in his laundries, and didn't go with the original Speed Queen, put Continental Gerbeau equipment in there. And I saw the way they were doing it. I said, I want to be a part of a team instead of trying to be an outcast, I guess, or just have the title owner, but actually only be profiting $20,000 a year. Some of those small laundries, they, what they do, the numbers on them,
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're telling the story and it's coming straight out of the like Rich Dad, Poor Dad playbook, right? I mean, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, he talks about how, he and his buddy basically worked for free, and his buddy's dad, his rich dad, basically said, hey, I'm not going to pay you. Find opportunities, right? Like, go work for somebody and look for opportunities, right? And as you're saying, I take a pay cut so I could go learn from these guys and look for opportunities. I mean, that's like straight out of the playbook there. But I mean, I think it's so hard, accept less money. It's so hard to go take a title that's, I know for you, it wasn't like necessarily the title wasn't lower, but a lot of people, like I just know that it's hard to swallow your pride and do that.
It is very difficult.
Yeah.
And it's
and sometimes more than just your pride, right? It's your lifestyle.
It's talking about rather
making less money in Orange County.
It's rather emotional at some points. And my boss at that time used to tell me that, you do very well here, but when you don't like something or something's not going well and you start doing the numbers, you get too emotional. And I did, and that's exactly what it was. And I'd get lost in the sauce thinking, okay, I'm going to manage this thing forever. And then reality sets in when I wake up. I'm like, you can't be a rich or a successful manager. At some point, you have to train somebody to do your job to move on. And that was emotional too, because I really loved the brand they had at the time that I was with them, for the time that I was with them, you know? So, but yeah, and then at one point I became here, then my short-term goal was to become the highest paid single laundry manager in all of Nevada. And I did, and I'll be open about it. I was making $52,800 without bonus a year for Nevada. Most laundromat managers are making either less than that or that, but for multiple stores, for 10 stores. I was at one store and growing the washing floor, gigantic. You know, they even expanded for storage. We had hotel orders in there that I went and got, and I'd literally walk in there and throw a price on a paper, get a call back, hey, come pick this stuff up.
Yeah, which is awesome. And you mentioned kind of getting emotional. I just wanted to chime in because somebody just said this, and I was like, yeah, that's totally right on. Somebody was I can't remember who it was, so apologies to whoever it was out there. But they were just saying being an entrepreneur, being a business owner is mostly about managing your emotions, right? We got high highs and we got low lows. And one of the big keys to being successful is learning how to manage those high highs and those low lows and not getting too high and not getting too low and doing what needs to be done either way. So that's a great lesson to learn on somebody else's dollar for when you go out and do your own business. So that was just a timely statement that you made there that really resonated with me.
Yeah.
Okay. So you decided, okay, how long were you assistant manager here in Orange County?
I was only an assistant manager from March 26th of the year I was hired. I think it was 2020 I was hired, 2019 or 2020. But from March to like April, a month or two maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, because March I hired, my birthday came, I worked. I moved to Vegas May 18th.
So you just packed your bags and
just left, dude. I called my son's. I'm grateful to God for my son's grandparents. That's my son's mother's parents, and she's remarried, and with another baby. But I am grateful to her and her family. I told them what was going on and that I had a job opportunity, and they wanted me to be around my son. So they were even though I'm not with my son's mother, they were like, "Look, this is our house. We're going to do what we want to do. Your son would love to have you around." So I literally, they gave me $1,500 relocation fee. That's how bad I wanted it. They were like, "We can only give you this much. We just started our company." I was like, "Let's do it." I saw the store. I saw how big it was. I saw they had, 26 dryers on one side and 25 on the other, with 4 bulkheads and 43 washers. I was like, oh yeah, this is the kind of store I want to run. I ran circles around the small one in California as a new hire. So this was like, I want to be front to back in this huge one and generating sales and, telling customers about the sanitized wash and doing pickup and delivery out of a big store. So
what did you find were the differences between working at a bigger store versus a smaller store, California versus Nevada? Any big differences stand out?
The huge difference for me here is if you want to grow as a retail customer service wash and fold type of employee or manager, come out here. Here is a lot more work to grab customers, especially if you're in an area like the store was out here. We didn't have a lot of customers at first. California, you can throw like a store together and it's just busy,
there's people everywhere.
There's people everywhere. And then the cost of living so high that you have a house with a washer and dryer, but there's 26 people staying there, so you have to use a laundry facility. So smaller store, you're limited to the amount of money you can make as an owner. And to me, that would limit your manager's salary if you're going to bonus them. With a larger store, you can do a whole lot more. I get a lot of calls from Californians that move out this way, and they're like, what is your policy and how much do you charge if I come 30 days later to pick it up? And I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, you know, in California, they want it picked up like within 24 hours of completion. And I'm like, oh, okay, well here, you know, we don't charge for that. Okay, this is a win-win for me. And you only charge $1.50. So with a larger store, you can do a lot more. You can store a lot more, you know, and I mean, there's less of a limit on your cap. You can make as much money as you want with a bigger store, from my perspective. And I saw all the numbers on Fast Card. I was in admin because I was a manager. So I saw what we're doing, about 1,200 a day on a slow day, almost 2,000 on a Sunday in sales for self-serve. Plus another, we've got up to, I think, at some point, 30 grand in wash and fold. Yeah. And that was all footwork that I did, you know. So for a bigger store, you can do a lot more. Pick up and deliver. You can do a lot more. You can employ a lot more employees. You can open earlier, close later.
Yeah. And
from my, maybe I'm wrong. I don't own one yet. So.
No, I think that. I mean, I think that's true, right? Like, I mean, obviously, you have more capacity, you can do more business, right? And you're only limited to how much business you're willing to go out there and get if you're doing pickup and delivery, especially, right? Like, because you know, self-serve, you might be limited by how many people are nearby,
right?
More or less, but you can go out and get that business on the service side, and if you've got the space and the capacity, you can do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, when you moved out there, had that one been already all built out? Were they still building it out? Where was it at in the process?
No, it was 100. Well, let's say, to my standards, and I came off at the, you know, I'm very strong spoken, so to me it was 95%.
Okay.
Because there was a lot of finishing touches. There are things that need to be tightened up, like drain caps, small stuff, but it was 100% complete. As far as like contractor wise, everything was up and running. The owners and the directors of Boulder Express were trying to put a date on a grand opening. So when I saw that the director went out there, I said, FaceTime me and send me pictures. When he sent me the pictures, I said, I got to have that store. They had the 75-pound dryers, 45 pounds and a 32 pounds. And I said, oh, yeah, I got to have that. I got to have that store as a manager. He's like, all right, but I'm letting you know, Rick Hutton isn't the kind of guy that you just kind of like, oh, I want that store, then you're not going to take it. Like, so if you're going to say that you want that store to manage and I tell him, you got to do it. And I'm like, no, I don't even need to second guess it. I know I want that store. So, what were we going into again? I'm sorry.
No.
There's a lot of excitement in that because that moment, my life kind of changed, you know? So, I mean, I think of when we're talking about that, I think of all types of different exciting things that happened at that point in time in my life because it changed. My life changed drastically in a good way. I mean, it was sacrificial, but it was like the best. It's like, I always say this, it was like going to college. You eat a bunch of top ramen. And if you really go to college for the right things, it's, I mean, like those lawyers and attorneys, when they finish, there's like, you know, pandemonium. It's exciting. Yeah. And that's what that part of my life was for me. Yeah.
What made it so exciting for you? Because it is a big change.
I've always was a happy employee, but I've never had a job that I was like, I loved. We all have this inner child that like, we would like to eat all the chocolate. Let's say we're kids that love to make fudge and eat it and put it in our ice cream and put it in our cookies. That's what laundry was for me since I was a kid. And I became infatuated with them because we needed them as me and my sister were kids. We grew up in a 1-bedroom house. We didn't have a washer and dryer. You know, we weren't always even a middle-class family. We were poor, you know. Even though my dad was a Marine, so the poverty line, we've always had to use them. But I've always used to have this infatuation with the quarters going into the machine and calculating the numbers. And, you know, this machine's $4. So 4 times 100, that's how many turns the machine has. I just became infatuated with laundry. And so that's why this job was like, And there's people that would tell me you're so childish, but I love it because you're so happy when I've had a bad day, and I love coming to this laundromat because you come in and you're joking about something, and it could be something that's like inappropriate, but everybody's laughing, even my Christian folks in there, and we're just having a good time, and that's what it just to me is like being a kid all over again. The laundry, the wash and fold, and I mean on Christmas, I think I argued with the director because we're both Christian, has nothing to do with anything. I've employed Buddhists, and had nothing to do with anything but going towards holidays. He's like, Ricky, I really would need you to have the day off. I'd like you to give all the employees. I said, I understand that, but I took it upon myself for Boulder Express in Vegas to be open through all holidays. And my reason for that is I've been homeless and depressed. And on those days, I would like to do my laundry to pass the day by. And we have a lot of military out here, or retired police officers, or widows, that on those days, they like to do the same thing. So I like to break bread on those days and be open for those clients that aren't from here. They're from Chicago, but they're stationed here. They moved because the cost of living in California was so high. We had those kind of debates or arguments. Okay, this year are you going to take it off? And it's like, no. Well, then who's working? I don't want you forcing the employees. I'm working. Open to close.
Yeah. Well, I love that because holidays are, they're fun with family and stuff, but there's just so many people. I saw that too. I stay open on the holidays too.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. And, I'm a lot of people, like a surprising number of people come and do laundry because while it's happy for a lot of people, it's also just a difficult time for a lot of people. And it's not even just homeless people, it's widows or widowers. And it's, like you said, people who've relocated, who don't have family in the area. It's, it can be a really sad time. So if you have the opportunity to, provide a space for them, something for them to do, and then bring some joy to their life along the way, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that mentality. And I mean, it's like, as you're talking, I'm like, yes, like there's so many things that you're saying right now that are leading you to where you're at now that you probably didn't know kind of along the way. But just, this mentality that you have where you just love what you're doing, all that passion is just so visible, in you right now, and you can hear it in your voice, that I mean, like you said, like you feel like you've just got off a vacation and you haven't, you haven't
in years. I haven't had a day off in years.
Yeah. You're working all the time. Right. But you love it. And that shines through, and I'm sure it shines through with customers and employees and all that as well.
It does. Yeah.
How long did you work for Boulder Express?
I worked for 4 years. February 9th was the 4th year. Well, it would have been March, but about 4 years.
Just about 4 years. Yeah. And then before we kind of go to like what you did after that, where like are there any like big? I mean, we talked about you working with sort of these guys who were doing bigger things and how it kind of opened your mind a little bit to like what's available, what's out there, how to think a little bit bigger. Any other like big takeaways from these guys? I just don't want to gloss over that in case there was anything else that you took away from working with these guys.
No, I learned, I overstepped my boundaries a lot with Rick Hutton's Boulder Express, and I'm grateful for that. But the reason I overstepped my boundaries is because I had my own. It's almost toxic to put a CEO or a baby in the making CEO under a brand, because that brand, Boulder Express, was already developed prior to me, probably since like 2017 or 18. Came around like 2020 when they launched the face of the business, but their licenses were already existing prior because they knew that's what they wanted to do. So there was times where Rick kind of had to tell me in front of my boss, hey, like this isn't a democracy. This is like, we're going to build 25 stores. We're not trying to take over the world. And Ricky, on this hand, I wanted to take over the whole laundry industry in all of Nevada and Vegas. So, that's kind of where I had to wake up in reality and realize, hey, if you want to do your own thing, you got to respect these guys and do your own thing. So, but no, there was nothing I really to take away. I'm grateful that I got to be a part of that brand and its like upbringing and the nurturing portion of it launching from May 18th, 2020 and up until the 4 years. It was definitely an experience that I don't want to relive again, but it was I had fun. If you ask the customer, it was a party in there all the time. I mean, I had taco trucks out front and I didn't charge them rent. I could have tried to take backhand pay but I did it because I saw a lot of my customers loving to wash there. And I said, what can they do that would support a local vendor? At the same time, some of my customers didn't have cars. And I've been there before, and they're coming on buses. So then they have to Uber to a restaurant while their laundry's stuck in a machine. They get upset. We take it out. So put a taco stand out front, no problem. And they loved it. So, I always overstep my boundaries with Boulder Express. And those guys were very special in a sense that they let me do whatever I wanted. Legally.
Yeah, right.
Except for the vendors being out front and them saying, Ricky, did you let her? Yes, we're giving, they're spending a lot of money. Okay. Because once I mentioned that to the owners, hey, but these customers spend about, $1,000 a month. Okay, no problem. But I did overstep my boundaries a lot. I made flyers that probably they wouldn't approve of with my number on it with the company to get it exposure. And it worked. The numbers were coming in. They probably found out later and never mentioned it. But I did all that to learn when I'm ready to do my own thing. I trialed it with that company and it worked for them. They made very good money while I was there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, in that, number one, you see that a lot with a lot of younger people and not just age younger, but like newer, I guess, too, where you're very passionate about something, right? And you have opinions and it's hard, if you're, you kind of got all the signs, all the telltale signs of being an entrepreneur at heart, right? And if you're an entrepreneur and you're passionate about something and you've got ideas and you've got thoughts, it's just hard to keep those in. Like I did that a lot too in my early days. I was a youth pastor early on, and
nice.
I had all kinds of ideas and overstepped my bounds and all that stuff too, right? But all that's part of the process, right?
Yeah.
Of learning, of growing, and the one thing that you don't want to do, right, is let bumping heads with the higher ups and that kind of thing kill your passion, right? That one thing that I think is interesting that you did, which was good, sounds like, was you sort of pivoted to do your own thing after you left Boulder Express, right? So can you talk about that transition and what you did and how you decided to do that?
So the transition was based off of growth. I started transitioning faster. I started Next Gen Laundry Services April of 2023, but I didn't really go push it. I started it, had the license, created it to be able to serve clients that I was unable to serve because I didn't have enough ground control with Boulder Express. So instead of turning away clients and potential dollar signs, I started funneling. This was always my phone number. The 714 number I have, I'm not going to say the whole number, but the Orange County number I have has always been mine, even when I listed it on Google. I owned it prior to being employed with Boulder Express. And that's something that we've talked about with them, and they just were like, yeah, just use your phone, So I'm always getting calls because of my marketing. I do my own marketing. None of the marketing for this store was paid for by the owners or subsidiaries or proprietors of Boulder Express. It was all my income that I spent on the marketing. So because I already built that momentum and I already had my license, it was an easy transition. I didn't mean to leave when I did. I'll be honest. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I didn't mean to leave when I did. It's just that the talks of acquiring multiple locations in Vegas were a constant thing since the first year and just never transpired. So being that these gentlemen are far more mature than I am in age, I decided, okay, like and I know there's a lot more to contracting and permits and negotiating leases. That's a whole nother podcast, but there's a whole nother real estate. Even if you're not trying to own the property that the laundry's on, there's a whole nother portion of purchasing a laundromat. So I'm not bad mouthing Boulder, but it just didn't happen fast enough for me with the amount of momentum that I had already told these clients that I would have this many locations and this many vehicles by this day. And then also that we would expand into the location we already have out here for commercial equipment with OPL setup. It didn't transpire fast enough. And then the talk was that at 6.5 turns or spins per day that we would start building that out. So it came around closer to my departure. I talked about that with the director, and, we'd purchased some vending machines, and I said, hey, look, I'm no longer going to push this anymore because this is what the talks was at 6.5 and about acquiring this location and that location, and things just didn't fall through. So no hard feelings, but I'll never ask again what happened with that. I've been asking for 4 years, but he said, all right, well, there's nothing we can do. I said, okay. So then from that day forward, I just focused on solely managing the team and continued my marketing. And then I had my eyes on a property that I wanted to put some OPL equipment at, and I relayed that to. This is how I knew I had something special and I had some secret sauce. Is I relayed that to a pretty big client. Like, I had to build up all this unemotional conversation before I met with this guy, and I saw him, and this is a client, with a real estate group, and I never could build that courage without getting emotional. And then I finally did one day. I said, hey, I just been wanting to tell you, eventually in about a year, I'll be resigning with Boulder Express. And right away, he didn't even let me finish. He's like, okay, well, I need your license and information and W-9, and we'll get the. And I said, well, let me finish. I said, I have nothing but good intentions and good things to say about Boulder Express, but I can't do that. So what you're going to need to do is deal with whoever's going to be managing it on my last day, and we're going to shake hands, and you're going to meet all the employees, and they're going to be the ones to do all the routes and pick up and delivery and process orders. I've done enough. I've showed enough to every employee about the stain treatment, about order process. And he's like, well, then we just won't need laundry service because we want to work with you. And I said, but, you didn't even let me finish. And, that's when he said, listen, anytime I've ever had a problem with laundry, like on your day off or you're supposed to be with your son, you've always answered, and you've always found a solution, which is why if you look at my logo, it says we have a Next Gen Laundry Services, we have a solution. Mm-hmm. And that's where that came from. So I didn't intend to take any customers from Boulder Express, but that was the transition. And speaking of the blue shirt you have on there, that's actually, there's a new location here that opened when I started separating and pulling away from Boulder Express. I was still employed there, but I was processing my orders over there and still managing Boulder Express. And the owner, thankful to God, was allowing me to process orders in there during normal business hours. And I was paying full price for the equipment. Mm-hmm. So it was a very challenging transition because the emotions between maybe me and the new management and some of the employees that were kind of disgruntled maybe with me while I was there, or felt like I was doing something wrong, or maybe the director, the energy was a little different. So that was a very difficult time for me, but I didn't have time to look back. This is, I just purchased the job at that point, So when I left, I gave a three callback rule. Customers from Boulder Express would call me. I'd tell them no 3 times, and I'd explain to them that, I don't want to tear down anything that I was ever a part of help building upwards. So you need to try to give them time to have somebody that's in place train and just like when mistakes happened when I was there. You guys were very supportive of that and gave me time to develop, a different strategy for your customized commercial orders. I would like for you to do that with Boulder Express. And then after a while, if they came back, they came back. Then I just put them in my system, and we rocked away with it. Where most laundry owners are like, screw that, I would have took them off bat. But I never wanted to hurt anybody when I left. But it was a very challenging transition. I had a van, a Toyota Sienna, that I was doing my pickup and deliveries out of, and I mean, that thing was sagging, scraping the tires.
Hey, that's good.
And it was I was just talking about this with my son's mother yesterday. I said, I told our son, I don't know how I made it through February to July. I just closed my eyes and I'm here. But I fought, man. I bought a $20,000 Ram 2500 cargo van. 7 days later, I put a new transmission in it.
Oh my gosh.
I drive that thing so much the mechanic was here this morning, but I got me a good fleet guy.
Yeah.
But and then all this is going on, and I started increasing my prices and changing different service area pricing, and that's how I'm surviving.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, that's a lot to unpack.
No, it's
yeah. I mean, listen, the transition thing, I mean, that's a tough one to handle, and
it is
it's tough for especially when you're going in the same industry and you're basically competing, at that point, and you're trying to navigate how do you do that well, right?
Yeah.
That's tough.
While your previous employer feels like they're trying to compete and you're not.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to compete. If you look at my branding, the color of my bags now, I'm putting stickers, I'm putting bands around my socks, and I'm not even copying what Waleed's doing. I'm using just white paper bands. I'm not offering sanitized wash to any customers like they are. I'm not using curbside laundries like they are. I'm not doing anything the way they run their facilities like. So, I mean, yeah. I'm very much so oil and water.
Yeah. Well, it's just tough. I mean,
I'm owner ran. Their owner invested and lets the employees run the show. I am hands on.
Yeah. Well, and that's going to make it's going to be hard for, and I've said this before on the show, like it's hard for somebody who's trying to run their thing passively to compete with somebody who's passionate about laundry and who's running hands on.
Yeah.
It's just going to be hard for them to compete, with you. And, I mean, the reality is there's tons of business to be had in Vegas or really any area. And so there should be enough for both, obviously. But that transition is just tough. It's just tough when you're leaving a spot and you're trying to do something similar to what they're doing. It's just going to be tough either way.
Well, let me say this. If anyone was to ask, how do I prevent that from happening? I have a really good manager, and they are very much so capable and coherent, and they have a BBA, Bachelor of Business Administration. They're capable of doing their own thing. If you really want that manager or that employee around, there's no need for that employee to leave. Do an LLP, offer them partnership, an LLP or an LP, which is a different type of license, and give them a different deal. That's what companies do when they find if somebody's not really a threat, but they don't want to lose that employee, so they offer them a unique situation. So,
yeah, and an opportunity to participate in the upside, right? If you're going out there getting a whole lot of business for them and you're not really seeing any benefit from that, I mean, I see what you're saying there. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
In retaining good employees it's tough, right? There's no denying that it's tough,
yeah.
But retaining an attendant or something like that's a little bit different than somebody who's helping you run your business, right? So
right,
that's a good tip. A good tip there. Do you think if they had like increased your pay, do you think you would have stayed? Like, let's say they gave you 20% pay raise.
I asked for 60 before I left it. I told them I was thankful. They said they didn't say no, but they didn't give it to me. And I don't think that excited the director, but I am grateful to, let me take a deep breath. I am grateful to God that that didn't happen, because I would have been stuck in a bear trap. And so I am like, I think about that all the time when I'm going through something. I'm like, I am so glad I'm not like imprisoned by employment anymore. But would I recommend any manager to do that themselves? No, because most of them do it with bad intentions. Most employees leave companies and they want to show that owner that they took that client or that they did that. That's not the case here. So, and then they're like, well, you did it. I'm like, no, I didn't. I don't have nothing. Those guys, I love what they're doing. They're building 25 stores. I'm not competing with that. I can't compete with that. They're building 25 stores and they own 200 shopping centers. You think I want to go to war with these guys? No, what you are doing as a carpenter is leaving because you don't like your boss, and now you're going to go start your own business and do remodels, and you're going to do it in spite of that company. And that's not what I did. So I don't recommend anybody do what I did. This is a very big struggle. I'm sure what's the Madison girl, the girl that I like,
Madison Anderson.
Yeah, she is amazing, and I love that she's telling the truth. It isn't easy. This is not a get rich quick scheme. This isn't a get rich quick scheme. It's not.
Well, and Mark Vlaskamp, who he started the Fold, he did something similar where he started with the laundromat, right? And like he'll be the first one to tell you, like, he does not recommend going this path because it is hard. Like, he worked hard. Yes, he built an awesome business. He built a big business. He ended up selling that business for a good amount of money, but he earned every cent of it. He worked really hard.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing as what you're saying, right? It's tough. So you started your own pickup and delivery. You don't have a location, right? So where are you processing your laundry?
So I do have Sense. I think the only holdup on my Android and Apple app is me. I've been so busy, but I have the POS, and that's how I am streamlining slowly but surely pickup and delivery, so they're not calling and texting. And then I have a big house, so I store the orders not inside my house, but on my property. And we process them every day, 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. I'm willing, almost like the Vlaskamp guy did.
Yeah.
I would believe so. I haven't really watched. I've heard about him. I'm not going to lie. I've heard about him. He's messaged me on Instagram, told him in about a year we'll set a date and we'll talk some things out. He said he wanted to share some tips, and I could imagine that he struggled like I did as far as like this last minute order. Then you don't want to tell a customer no, so you're processing it. Something happens, a girl's sick at the laundromat where you're processing it. You got to figure that out. So, no, I mean, yeah, I'm storing orders at my house. I'm storing commercial orders. I do not, my mindset and my ideology on regular clothing is to be processed immediately upon pickup. So I don't store any dirty laundry here unless it's commercial linen. Commercial linen I store at the property. I got cameras. So if customers have any questions about what the process is, then I can be transparent like that. And most people don't care. They're like, when they see my product the way it comes out, they're like, oh yeah, I don't care who Joe Blow's laundromat is anymore. That's crazy. Like what you do. I love you. They tell me flat out, I love you. I love what you do. And I spend a lot of money on chemical. And there's a lot of laundromat owners out here. I won't say a lot of, but it's not a lot, but I'm going to make it seem like it's not one person that wasn't happy about me doing what I'm doing. And they did come behind me and say like, oh, he's using all these chemicals because he doesn't have the sanitized wash system and blah, 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 blah. And yeah, he's using Laundrolab's new equipment, but he's using very harsh chemicals. And it was an easy fix. The customers like, well, we haven't had a complaint about a breakout. But when we were using your service or that service from other laundromats, it comes back yellow. But I use a surfactant called Scrub Tech and part of the Integra chemical program. I don't know if you're familiar with that. And then I use a 93 enzyme spotter. To me, it's real simple because, laundromats don't want to do the work. They don't want to open the sheet, see a stain, and you just spot it. It takes a little bit longer. That's a secret sauce that I have.
Yeah. Well,
Stain treatment.
Yeah, and you don't hear a lot about that. Where are you getting your chemicals from?
I'm getting them from reliable. I was getting them from Arizona because when I left Boulder, I guess they did the repairs at Boulder Express. So I was getting them from Arizona just because I didn't want to get it from the same distributor. I didn't know if they were going to price gouge me, but Wayne, the owner, has been very good to me, and he brings it from Utah and brings it to me. It's reliable commercial laundry equipment or something like that. And they're based out of, they sell equipment. They do all the repairs on the strips, the jails, the prisons, the VA, veterans homes. So they don't really need to sell me chemical. I appreciate these guys doing it, you know, but I do spend about anywhere from on a slow month, 300 to 1,500 in chemical. Yeah. 11% bleach they bring me.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, okay. And you're doing your laundry at just a laundromat in the area. It's not yours, right? Did you work out any deal with them, or are you just paying whatever they charge?
I pay full price. Yep. I pay full price. I did get an offer from, I won't say that company's name because it was a customized pricing, where if I spend a certain amount in a month, they'll give me 10% in loyalty points and some type of cash check or something towards whatever I spent with them. But you know, for me right now, that's a little bit complex. So I'm using a laundromat that has a low price, you know, $4.75 for a 40-pound, and I think it's 25 cents for 20 minutes or something like that. Yep.
Yeah, they need to up their game, especially on the
well, it's working for them. They got a low lease. They've been there for a long time. I've told them too, you should raise your price. I'll still pay it. They're like, no, man, we are customers in the community. We've been here a very long time. We have we're almost paid off our lease. You know, we're looking to buy just this. So I'm like, all right, you know, and that's where I'm at doing the orders. I always keep my mind peeled on different laundries just because holidays, and I don't ever want it to stop my flow. I do have a couple offers, and I'm open to offers for partnerships with mini laundry OPL plants for businesses like me. There is a couple other individuals out here doing what I'm doing with their family. Mm-hmm. It's common. And I've heard a distributor that sells me chemical said that in Arizona, there's a woman who's a big part of her church that she has commercial OPLs in her garage, in her nice big garage. And it's flipped into a mini OPL wash and fold central. Yeah. And they said she does a ton of wash and fold. So this is probably something that's evolving. You know, I'm not going to act like I'm the only one doing it. You know, I've heard there is other people breaking out and doing it their own way.
Yeah. So, I mean, okay, you broke off and did your own thing here, and you're doing pickup and delivery, right? And how are you finding customers here?
Yes, let's dive into that.
Yeah.
What's that?
Is it growing? I mean,
yes, it is very exciting. So that's why I postponed our original date, is because I was juggling and I got so nervous and I said, oh my God, I gotta postpone. It is crazy how, I mean, I'm getting the chills right now. How, you know what they say, you'll know you're putting into something because the results will come. And I'm like, okay, I just printed flyers. I ain't even got to hand them out because it just started coming. But that's 4 years of hard work, my momentum. And I thought I lost that momentum. See, I started all over. When I left Boulder, my intentions weren't to have the clients. The only client that I had was this special customer that, let me tell you, speaking of how I get my clients, this is my style. This is how I just organically generate new clientele. There was one day on a slow day. My slow days were usually Wednesdays when I was a laundromat manager. I came back to my house. I got in my laptop and my phone, and I was Googling vacation rental services. I had already called all the companies that popped up. So I started going janitorial services, cleaning, home cleaning services. Because if I can't get through to the real estate company or the vacation rental management, guess what? They need housekeepers, right? So if I hit every housekeeper up, call them, tell them, hey, you know, Why be stuck cleaning one property when you can partner with me as a laundry service provider? You show the invoice to the owner, let them pay it, and I pick up and deliver clean laundry on a cycle. At one time, the midterm vacation rental in Henderson checks out. I deliver the clean from the previous time, pick up the dirty. And then I sort and separate all the stains. The cleaners would love that, right? So I was doing just cold calling. I called this company called, we ended up becoming really good friends. His name's Jeremiah Sidney with Prime Cleaning Services. Called him. He's like, yo, call me back. And I got I'm on the other line with a customer, but I need your service. He told me flat out, I need your service. I'm like, so I waited, sat there, called him in 10 minutes. He's like, dang, you called me back. He's like, I didn't think you'd call back. I'm like, no, man, you got to see what we do with laundry. Like, I'll go to that house and pick it up right now. I'll pay for it. If it doesn't come out good, I'll buy new linen. Like, where are you located? I told him where we're located. He dropped it off. He loved it. Something happened business wise, and that guy stopped offering service to these. I think there were 40. They weren't Airbnbs. They're like midterm rentals. Because in Vegas there's different laws. So these are all in Henderson, and they're midterm rentals for like corporate business. Even someone like you might want to travel and get into a home with a pool and kind of so you feel at home. Well, they're fully furnished and linen. So he stopped servicing them. Well, I didn't want to stop doing laundry for these people. This is how I get people. So I'm like, what is the name of this business? I am thinking I need this customer. I want to work with these people. So I lied. I looked up Cunningham Real Estate Group, and I called and I said, there was a woman that managed like these midterm rentals for people who need temporary housing and furnished units. I have her name somewhere here on my desk. I can't pin it out. And I lied. I said, I can't pin it out. And I just don't know. She goes, oh, Shannon out. Let me give you her cell phone number. I said, that's the name. I have it right here, but I don't have the number. What's the number? And I got the number and cold called her and told her, hey, I don't know what happened with the last cleaning guy that I met you guys through, but we provide pickup and delivery laundry service. And I even have a housekeeper that specializes in midterm rental cleanings, which is Reliable Cleaners. And she was like, okay, be at this property at this time on this day. This was like September 20th. I remember the exact day because, these are like great people to work with and work for. I think it was September 23rd of 2022 was the first day I initiated service, and I still service them till this day. But they're very special people. They are Cunningham Real Estate Group. They are like, I've never seen a vacation rental or like a midterm rental management company that doesn't illegally list their properties. They're all in Henderson because that's where it's legal. Nowhere near a hotel because that's where it's legal. And they got fire extinguishers in these properties. They're like hotels, and they're really professionally ran, and they're not trying to undercut vendors like housekeepers and laundry guys and pool cleaners. They outsource all of that. And that's how they're able to have multiple properties. Because they're so smart that, hey, we're not laundry people. We don't clean pools. We'll hire these people to do it. And I still work with them. It's going on 2 years. This September will be 2 years. And that was a company going back in our conversation where I was kind of telling them, hey, in a year I won't be with Bowler. And they were like, no, we got to have your service. And that was to be able to still offer service to them. That's where the bulk of my commercial comes from. I did just get a couple new commercial clients that are really big, 18-bedroom properties. But for the time that I've been in business or been offering service, Cunningham Real Estate Group has been like the most solid. They even have an app where, it tells you what to pick up, where to pick it up. They're so streamlined. It's almost like the Sense for rental properties.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And, finding clients like that is huge because it gives you that baseline security to be able to go build off of now. Because once you have sort of that consistent revenue you can count on coming in, it makes it easier to go out and find more and be able to take kind of bigger risks actually in
Yeah.
land other clients, which is, I mean, that's key, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's key,
If it
especially
wasn't
when
for
you
them,
get
I
to-
wouldn't know how to turn over these big properties that I just acquired for laundry service. I acquired these properties for laundry service. They're huge, biggest, probably one of the biggest vacation properties I've ever seen. It's not even listed on Airbnb. It's listed on some corporate, like for events or like where you go stay for 2 weeks in Vegas and they have all these treats or whatever. And they got fully furnished rooms and a DJ and you name it. You know, there's, you pull up there to pick up laundry. There's Rolls Royces pulling off. But these properties are so big, and I turn them around. I pick them up, like say I pick them up now, and I turn them around next day with just me and 2 employees with all that laundry. But because of Cunningham giving me that foundation to grow upon, I wasn't perfect when I met them. I made a lot of mistakes. I've had to buy sheets, replace them. You know, you're mixing one property with the other, so you got to find the missing pieces. So they've really helped me to be able to serve bigger clients and grow my platform. And they told me that at one point. You know, I'm like, why did you guys choose my? Well, you know, you started with us, and our stuff came back wider, so we wanted to give you a chance, just like we do all our housekeepers, to grow and build their small business. And that is very special for, I think the owner's name is Sean Cunningham. It's Cunningham Real Estate Group. That is very unique and special. You know how many real estate agents fire people? They don't have the patience or time. Like, I'm the real estate guy. You made a mistake. Bye. You know, for these people, they're very, very special in that sense of understanding that Ricky has a small business, or Boulder Express, even that's still a small business, or these housekeeping companies like Reliable Cleaners, they have a small business. Let's assist them in growing by giving them more properties to manage the cleanings on and hire more employees and make mistakes and fix mistakes to be a better company.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I don't want to cut you off.
No, I was going to say, so that's how I get my clients. So by networking, as you can see, I brought Reliable Cleaners in with me, and I don't ask nothing back. I refer people all the time, but just networking. Everywhere I go, I talk about this. My son tells me, you go to a baseball game, how do you know that lady? Oh, I used to do their laundry for the spa they used to have. Oh, you do it now? No, I used to do it with Boulder. They still use Boulder. Oh, you always know somebody where just talking, man. If you talk to people, I think Elon Musk said that. If you talk to people, like you're eventually going to talk to the right person, you know?
Yeah.
And it's worked for laundry.
Yeah. And it does work. And that goes hand in hand with like the passion you have for the business, right? Like you only talk about it because you like it, you are passionate about it, and you're trying to grow it, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's great advice. Like, just tell people what you do everywhere you go.
Just tell them. Yeah.
Are you doing much residential right now?
I have a small portion of it. It's so odd because a lot of it is private. Like, a lot of the stuff that I do are like business owners' personal laundry. Okay. So like entrepreneurs. Yeah. And that is my target market, because I am not priced high or low, but I don't want to overcharge customers for and I can do all of that with my software, with cents. Like, I can 25 cents a dryer sheet for free in general. It costs this to sort baby clothes. I don't do that. It's $1.75 per pound. And I'm doing a small portion of residential stuff right now, but it's growing little by little.
Are you marketing the residential at all?
You know what? I've been meaning to do that, but then I just turned around and got new commercial accounts. So that's the challenge, and I need to nip it in the butt, is calibrating that, and then also taking the risk of spending the money to hire an assistant manager or a manager, because I don't plan on managing this stuff forever. I do plan on being present physically every day for a very long time, but I do believe in giving someone like myself an opportunity, because that's what happened with me. I was given an opportunity and it worked for me. And if I can do that for one other person, I'm not trying to hold anybody back, you know? So with the residential, I don't have much of it right now, but it is growing one by one. Maybe like I got 3 new customers this month. To me, that's slow, but when I tell other entrepreneurs, they're like, what? That's crazy. I haven't got 3 in like 3 months, you know?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
No offense, but I really talk my butt off with clients. That's what I do.
Yeah.
I was talking to a guy at Big Lots yesterday. He ended up being an ex-police officer, fell into a management position, and an expert sniper. And I was just talking about my laundry, though.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What's the plan? What's the goal? Like, are you trying to, do you have like a target you're trying to hit? You got a revenue number or a pounds number or anything like that?
I'm trying to cap out at 30,000 pounds a month.
Okay.
Right now,
That's a day. That's a lot.
I'm fluctuating. I'm doing right now. I'm doing about, it keeps going up. So started 9, then I went to 12,000, then back to 9,000. No, back to about 9,000 pounds, and then now about 14,000 pounds per month.
Dude.
And then I still have overhead. So
yeah.
What helps with that is comforters, because I sell those for $25 each. The comforter wash. So little things like that, little upsells, minimums. I got minimums for far zip codes. But as far as my diversifying my client base, I have that with commercial. I have an art studio, a dog daycare. I have a small hotel. I have corporate housing, short-term rentals, midterm rentals, long midterm rentals, which they're not really midterms, but sometimes they rent for like half a year, and then I got to clean the linen, which I don't know why they don't just buy new linen. But I mean, there's so many customers I forget. I have janitorial companies. I clean their rags, mop heads. There's so many that I forget. Yeah, and then now it's just growing my residential. I would love to have more of the residential, because I like hearing those stories about, when you drop it off. Thank you so much. Everything was so easy for us. You have all of Timothy's stuff all together. All I have to do is give it to the kids and send it. Those are the stories I want to hear more of, and those are more challenging customers for me to get, considering I have large volume of commercial. So it's like, how do I break a way to market that without going over budget? And I think that's where Sense is really going to help me out. Told you in the past I spoke with Jordan at Sense, and then they got Stormy as their success manager. So, and they tell me, here's my number, call. I really need to put forth the effort and call and get this stuff going with them. So it's a me thing, but they're definitely supportive of my growth.
Yeah. Well, and it's tough when you're trying to do the actual business, and then you're also trying to build out the infrastructure and the systems of the business. It's tough, but you got to find time to do it, right? Like, you cannot grow, or if you do grow without doing those things, getting the right systems in place, getting the right people in place, and all that, right? Like, it's a disaster waiting to happen, right? So, you got to find some time.
Yeah, and I've had a couple offers from that are kind of private for now, but from out of state, offers to buy into the brand and push it, and then offers to buy me out and keep me in the laundromat. There's about 3 different offers on the table right now. I'm going to look at them. I'm probably going to, I hope they don't get mad when they see this. I'm probably going to stay doing what I'm doing and for a little bit longer. Yeah. Because I do have like a 4th option with a distributor, and we might do something that we might not. We're deciding if I want to go laundromat or private and warehouse OPL, and I like that. It's different. So, we'll see where it goes.
That's awesome. Just so everybody's on the same page, OPL is on-premise laundry. It's basically a laundromat that's not for the public. So you don't put coins or cards or anything in.
What was that?
I was just explaining what OPL was.
On-premise laundry. Yes, you're right. Yeah. So, I used to look at that like, what is that? Yeah.
I didn't want to leave anybody behind here.
Yeah, and the benefits of OPL. So I do all my chemical dosing right now by hand with measuring cups. The OPLs, the reason why we're looking at that is the waste management. So if on these OPLs, the way I'm sure you know, but so everyone else knows, OPLs, if they have them built and programmed to where if you wanted to push white duvets, it's going to know exactly how much bleach and surfactants and alkali to use or whatever detergents you want to go in it, softener, sour treatment. And that's why we're talking about maybe just doing an OPL. And then, the talk obviously to do residential, do we do a plant-based OPL or fragrance OPL, or do we just have a couple pieces of equipment for regular wash and fold, and then I do have Spanish-speaking employees, and are we going to be able to put the English and Spanish on the touch screens to?
Well, it sounds like we're gonna have to do another episode down the line.
Yeah, let's have fun.
Answer all these questions that you're asking yourself right now. It sounds like you got some big decisions to make, and but like good stuff, right?
Yeah,
we got a couple segments I want to get to here in a second, but before we get to that, anything that you feel like you're doing in terms of like the service side of things that's helping you succeed. Like it sounds like, at least some of your customers are just very excited about what you're doing for them. And, I'm sure part of it is just your passion oozing out of you as you communicate with them and then doing a good job. Any like touches you're doing or details you're doing that makes your service?
Yes. We're streamlining the folds. And when I thought of that, that's why I'm excited for what Laundromat is doing. They have like this sheet that they use to fold on, and that's their secret sauce, that everything is uniform because their shirts, they have a map. I don't have that, but I have a couple employees. I have about 14 employees, 11 in circulation. I have a certain size that I fold t-shirts by and a certain way of folding baby clothes. And I also wrap bands on bras, undergarments, and socks. They're just t-shirt bands I get from Cleaner Supply. So if anybody wants to check those out, I don't mind sharing that tip. I've had a couple other laundropreneurs or laundromat owners ask where I get the bands. It's on cleanersupply.com. And they are these bands that they're for like dry clean t-shirts, the collared shirts. And I use them to wrap on the underwears and socks. So that's something I'm doing different. And I bag like items separate. So I'm not bagging like shirt, pants. Everything is uniform. Not by color, but by size and by garment. Yep. Yeah. Garment type. Yep. Yeah. And so packaging, I've also implemented blue bags that I got from Cleaner Supply. And I noticed that my girls I'm a little crazy with my hands. So I tie these crazy knots on the bags. So I noticed that the challenge to get our bags to look the same way as I'm doing them, is a huge challenge. So now I got the bread ties from Cleaner Supply, and we're using those. Mm-hmm. So that's something that I do different. But my customer service and the way I do business is what stands out. I'm very vocal. I'm very communicative. We're 365 days a year. Just the way I do my wash and fold, package it, talk to customers.
I love it.
You would think that it's like everybody does wash and fold. And then I get that a lot too. A lot of laundromat owners are like, oh yeah, I get it. But then they end up calling me back like, dude, my customers went back to you. Can I go watch what you're doing?
That's good though.
Yeah.
Well, you've got that experience behind you, which again, you sacrificed to get that experience, right? But now that, you've got that experience and, you've kind of made that transition as difficult as it was, you're off to the races now because you're starting from scratch, but you're not starting from scratch because you've got this sort of huge wave of knowledge, experience, and an idea of how to do this thing behind you from getting that, which is...
Yeah. And I learned how to fold myself. I never, I do want to clear that up. I didn't learn how to fold. I learned how to fold while I was employed at Boulder Express, but nobody taught me. Mm-hmm. And when I asked my boss about that, he's like, because I knew you'd figure it out.
Yeah. The real answer is because he didn't know how to fold either. That's why.
No, he's pretty good, but he folds almost like, Matt and Aaron Simmons are. Mm-hmm. He folds like them, and they fold all the same way. I do have I'm not trying to say it's the best way. I don't have the best way of folding, but I do have I fold my t-shirts this size because the typical laundry, and this isn't to teach anybody anything or put anybody in check. This is like me sharing a tip that is thinking like your clients. I fold them rectangular because realistically, do we have 700 drawers to put our shirts? So when you buy a t-shirt, it's on the stand this big. It's a big rectangle.
Yeah.
I don't fold like that. I fold like this because you can fit 26 shirts into a drawer, being realistic. So I did that, and I got a lot of good response when I learned to do it that way from my customers. I love the way you fold. Everything is so nice, neat, small, and it fits in my drawers. It never fits in my drawers, which is why we keep using your service. So going back to like a tip or a secret sauce of being different and it benefiting me, that's a tip that, and those are all good things that you can just practice on a slow day in your laundromat or at home with your pants, with your garments. And doing that, and I'm still doing that. I'm not the best yet. I'm still always breaking myself down with discipline and like, okay, this looks like crap. Rip that bag open. Let's redo this. And helping my employees do that too. They kind of shake their head, but it's making them better.
Well, yeah, and it makes a big difference. Like presentation is
you have the word.
So much more important than I think it gets credit for. Because how you present gives it a different feel, right? If you have sloppy folds, people just assume it's sloppy service, right? And if you have crisp folds that in a good presentation, it's like a gourmet restaurant, right?
Right.
Even if you're not getting a lot on your plate, the presentation is great, and people pay a lot.
It's everything.
For it, right?
Yeah, that's what you pay for.
Yeah. So, but there's also that balance too of like being able to process everything, and so it's an ongoing thing.
Yeah,
it's good. Keep learning, keep growing there. All right, last question I have for you before we hit secret sauce is, obviously you're spending a lot of time here, and you mentioned like you bought yourself a job here. How much time do you think you're spending working in?
You know what? The funny thing is, it's a lot. I guess I don't really count the hours, but it's a lot. It feels like a lot less than what I was putting in at Boulder. I was putting in 18-hour days sometimes, 16, 18 hours. Because if someone broke into the laundromat, here I come running again, Something happened with an order, and we were doing a lot of commercial there. But I am probably putting in physically 7 a.m. to 3 p.m., so 8 hours there. In the rest of my day, I'm doing work like this or networking or doing social media. But I put in 8 order processing hours, which is really good for 14,000 pounds. We processed 500 or 600 pounds with me and 2 girls in a matter of 3 to 4 hours.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I don't know. Yeah, we can do 1,000. But I don't know. But that's slowing down on purpose to kind of like perfect the fold and separate certain colored towels. But if we were to just blurt it out and knock it out, we could probably be done in 2 hours. Laundromat employees and owners are like, we love you doing the laundry. Look, we don't mind sending you orders because you guys, it's not as fun when we do it. And they have fun when we're in there. I have so much fun with my employees. When it's time for me to finally break away, it's going to be pretty sad.
Yeah, it'll be tough. Another transition, right?
And it'll be exciting,
yeah.
And there'll be some guy my age now and that's excited about it, or some girl. And
and that's part of the process, right? Like you don't want to stay the same. You want to keep growing. You want to keep learning new skills. You want to keep, growing your business, all that stuff. So yeah, absolutely. But yeah, you're right. It's
who knows? Maybe I'll sell this and I'll be your co-host.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. I like this now. I like where we're going. Yeah, this is great.
Yeah. I love your platform because you allow everyone to be their self and tell the truth about what's really going on in the laundry industry, because it's something that not everybody thinks of, so.
Yeah. And it's hard to get sort of the real stuff and the stories behind, like, this is such a weird industry, right? Like it's always interesting to hear how people get into this weird little industry that we're in. and what they've learned kind of along the way, because we all learn different lessons, along the way.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to be able to share that. And so appreciate people like you who come on and share your stories. All right, I got a couple segments for you as we wrap this thing up. First one is called Secret Sauce.
There we go. Secret sauce.
Secret sauce. Secret sauce is this. If you have, let's say I want to start a pickup. Let's say I have a pickup and delivery business already. It's already up and running. What's your number one tip for me to help me take it to the next level?
To take it to the next level, it could be a variety of steps, but I would say to take it to the next level, find a way to package where your customers and everyone else in your community will know if it's next gen laundry service or not. So do something to set yourself apart, to be different, so you can be noticed, because my customers will know when I'm not present or when I didn't do the service, and that's what keeps them coming back. I put stickers once in a while. I don't want to be too wasteful, but I do have these vinyl stickers, and they say, we have a solution, next gen laundry service. Used to have my number, but I thought, screw it, we don't need the number. Let's put the nice logo with it's actually on my my water bottle there.
There it is.
But so we put that on at least one of the bags, and even if it's a one-time hit, they Google your company, find your Instagram, and also create content for pickup and delivery. Just because you have pickup and delivery and you figure, oh, people need my service, they're either going to need it or not, so we're just going to wash it and throw it in a bag. Package it really nice, and also create content while you're doing your orders, and shoot videos. Even if you're not a real in front of the camera type of male or woman, find an employee that is, or pay somebody to fold and make a video explaining what you're doing and why your service is special and what makes it different. That's what I do. I create content about my stain treatment process. I even, Waleed was just commenting on that video. I made a video showing a mistake that I made with commercial laundry towel. I cleaned up some bleach and it ate right through the towel. I failed to rinse the towel out after cleaning up the bleach with it. I let it sit for a week until the order was due, processed it, came out of the washer, it had holes in it. And I put that on the internet and used that to say, hey, look, I made a mistake, but this is to show you how strong bleach we use. The regular bleach is 7%. This is 11% bleach. And that mistake, turned into showing the customers real live secret sauce.
Yeah. It turned it into trust, right? Like,
transparency.
When you can acknowledge a mistake, say, hey, I'm going to make this right, for the customer, but I wanted to show you, number one, sometimes mistakes happen. Here's how we deal with it. But also number two, here's the spin on this. We use better bleach, right? Like it cleans better, right? So, and that translates to trust, and trust. I have found that trust directly translates to the bottom line. Like the more people trust you, the more they want to do business with you.
Absolutely.
That's a huge, I love that. I love that piece of advice. I think that's great.
Yeah.
All right. Next segment we have is called Pro Tips. And Pro Tips is, let's say I want to start from scratch doing what you're doing. What's your number one tip to help me get started? Or maybe one thing I need to know?
It's going to be something that most solopreneur, entrepreneurs, and individuals think, right? Because everyone sees you doing what you're doing, and what do we think? I've always wanted my own business, right? Mm-hmm. So my pro tip would to be, go about it. Don't only do the market survey or study or research and study the market, but actually get a business license and actually get yourself some business insurance. And if you're using a vehicle for your business, or you're even commuting to and from where you'll be doing business, have business insurance separate from your vehicle insurance on that. Trust me, things do happen. And fortunately, I went about it the right way legally. I have a business attorney, and I was asked by all of my commercial clients for my business license, a copy of my business license and insurance, so they know who they're working with. So that, and create a business card, let people know who you are, and just talk about what you want to do.
Yeah. And I mean, I might add just on top of it, just based off our conversation, is get out there and make it happen. Don't look for, especially if you're starting from scratch, like don't expect to have a passive business initially, and not for a long time, probably. Especially if you're starting a pickup and delivery, kind of from scratch. Like it's going to take work, unless you're independently wealthy and you can go out and find yourself a Ricky who's going to go out and do it, build it for you. A past Ricky, not a current Ricky. It's going to take work, and so don't expect it to be passive. Nor, I don't know. I mean, we talked a little bit about this before we hit record, but the passive train has been rolling on YouTube, Instagram, all that stuff, where people are like passive. But I'm starting to see that mindset shift a little bit, because I think people are starting to realize, number one, there's nothing really passive out there, actually. And number two, passive's not all it's cracked up to be. Better, I think, way to think about it is, how can I set myself up to where I like my life? Right?
Yeah.
Like, what I mean? Like, you're passionate about it. You don't necessarily have to be passionate about the business you're building necessarily. But maybe it gives you opportunity to do the things that you're passionate about. I think that's what draws a lot of people to laundromat ownership, right? Is while it's not going to be passive, most likely, it is flexible, and you can kind of make your own schedule, so you can build the life that you want, whether you love the laundry necessarily or not. You are lucky because you love what you're doing, which is great. So awesome. Last question I have for you as we wrap this up is, number one, like, thank you for coming on the show, taking the time. I know that you're like crazy busy and building that business and hustling and getting things done. So I appreciate you taking the time to come on here and share all that. This is awesome. So many good tips on how you are building that business and how you are distinguishing that business in the Vegas market there. So I appreciate you coming on and sharing all that. If people are vibing with you, or they want to ask you tips on how they can get started, or they want to just kind of mastermind with you on how you all can grow your business, what's the best way people can get in contact with you?
You can tap in on my Instagram. It's Next Gen Laundry LV. So that's NEXT as in Tom, G as in go, E as in Edward, N as in Nancy, LAUNDRY LV. That's for Instagram. And then my email is also nextgenlaundrylv@gmail.com.
Awesome. And we'll have that in the show notes, along with all the links and everything. There. So appreciate you again coming on. This was awesome. And dude, I mean, we're gonna have to do another episode down the line to see.
Yeah, we have to. I'm excited. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and I wanted to say too, you might need to extend out that goal here in not too long. If you're already hitting close to 14,000 pounds a month and your goal is 30, you haven't been going that long on your own yet. So you're
so
on this thing. So I just wanted to, put that in your mind there. You might need to.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
talk about thinking bigger.
Yeah, exactly. I got to stop thinking small. I got to start thinking bigger.
Well, 1,000 pounds a day does not sound small to me, but you're crushing it over there. So keep crushing it, keep doing your thing. And,
thank you, man.
We'll stay in touch for sure, man.
I appreciate you, Jordan.
All right. I hope you love that episode with Ricky out in Vegas, baby. And listen, all well and good to listen to the episode, to gain a bunch of information, to hear his story. All that stuff is really great. But really, we're here to help you accomplish your goals. And in order for us to help you do that, you've got to help yourself. And what that looks like is picking something from this episode and putting it into action. Pick one thing. Do it this week. Don't wait. Don't delay. Don't get stuck in the learning loop. Got to put it into action. So pick something. For me, I really loved our conversation about the details. Like, it's all about the details. For him and his context, it was the details on the service. And I I love that. I'm a big picture kind of guy in general. And so once you start getting down into those details, it becomes a little bit tedious for me, but that's the work we need to do to really provide a great service. And I was reminded of that this past week at the laundry CEO conference that Wally Cope put on. Details were impeccable. So good. Man, I need to pay more attention to details. What's your one thing? Pick something, put it into action. Maybe go share it on the forums, laundromatresource.com/forums, and have a conversation about it. But really, the thing is, you just got to put it in action. So find something and go do it this week, and come back next week for another awesome episode and another action item. All right, let's stack those action items up every week. See you next week. Peace.